Okay, what we're going to talk about today is Judaism. Judaism is also their followers are known as Jews, or it's the Jewish faith. Um, they believe in the Old Testament. Matter of fact, their holy scripture or holy writings is called the Torah, or the first five books of the Bible. Um, and it goes back to Abraham in the Bible, is known as the forefather, basically, of three religions. Judaism, where his descendants led the 12 nations of Israel. And Jesus is actually a descendant of, or Joseph, Jesus' adopted father, our earthly father, is a descendant of David, who's a descendant of Abraham. So that means he's a forefather of Christianity. And if you remember, we talked about Hagar and Ishmael. Ishmael was Abraham's son, and Muhammad is a direct descendant of him. So that created Islam. So his descendants end up in Egypt. If we remember the Joseph of the Coat of Many Colors, he was sold into slavery by his brothers, told his father that he was dead, and he ends up interpreting dreams in jail in Egypt, to where he gets to work for the Pharaoh. He knows the 7 good years of crops and then 7 years of famine, and he was able to put back food so the Egyptians could have food, so much that many Israelites were suffering, and his brothers came to get food. Um, then they recognize, or they end up realizing that's their brother. They bring their dad there, and they all move there and live in Egypt and have plenty of food to eat. But it eventually gets to the point where the Egyptians enslaved the Hebrews. Even they were outnumbering them, and the Pharaoh decreed that all children under the age of 2 to be slain. A baby was born, and his parents couldn't kill him, so they put him in a basket and floated it down the river. The Pharaoh's sister finds him, pulls him out of um, the water, names him Moses, which means drawn out. He grows up as an Egyptian prince until he gets into fight with an Egyptian slave driver, ends up killing the slave driver, and he runs for his life. And that's where um, Yahweh, or God, talks to him, sends him back into Egypt to try to let his people go, puts the 10 plagues on the people of Egypt, even to the last one where the Pharaoh said, kill all the firstborn Hebrews. God tells Moses to have them put lamb's blood on their doors so the angel of death can pass over, and flips that to be the 10th plague of killing the firstborn. Pharaoh finally decides to let them go until he has a change of heart, and he chases them out into the desert, where Moses, you can see in these pictures right here, this is actually from the movie 10 Commandments. This is a picture of him at the Red Sea. God teaches him to split the Red Sea. The Hebrews walk down it. Once the Egyptians chase them through and the Hebrews are through safely, Moses drops his arms and the Red Sea crashes. And that's where they start their trek in the wilderness for 40 years until they reach the Promised Land. Right after that, Moses goes up on the mountaintop. He gets, as you can see, these tablets, the 10 Commandments. Um, as we can see, the 10 Commandments are here. It says, you shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make idols. Of course, the Hebrews were breaking these first two as Moses were on top of the hill or mountain getting those. They were building a golden calf to worship because they thought Moses was dead and God had forsaken them. So he comes down, sees that they did that, broke the two tablets, goes back, and God gives him another set, and he comes down, destroys the calf. Because Moses is probably the first person ever to download information from the cloud to a tablet. Just a little technology joke. I'm sorry, that's pretty bad. Um, if we look here, you can see the other commandments is do not take the Lord's name in vain. Don't use the Lord's name in anger. Remember the Sabbath day, keep it holy. Sabbath in to the Jews means seventh. If you look at our daily calendar, the seventh day is actually Saturday instead of Sunday. So a lot of Jews, most Jews worship on Saturday. This is something that you probably need to pay attention to, is to honor your father and mother. Make sure that you respect your parents and do what they say. Of course, these go without saying. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. It means if you get married, you don't need to have a girlfriend or boyfriend. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. And you shall not covet. False witness means lie. Covet means constantly wish you had what others had. They worship in what's called a synagogue. You can see different synagogues here. Looks a lot like modern day Christian churches. Sometimes the outside is a little bit different. You can see their symbol here, the Star of David. One of their main holidays is called Hanukkah. You can see that they have 9 candles here. The first candle is to light the other 8 candles. It is it remembers Jacob Maccabee and his fight against the Assyrians and their defeat of them. And he went into the temple and to light a candle. Had enough oil to burn for one day, and it ended up burning for 8 days. And that's why they have the 8 candles that they light. Okay, this is called a menorah, and they light a different candle for each day. And lastly, the last thing I want you to know is that this is their symbol, and it's called the Star of David. You can see it on the flag, the Israel flag, and it is like for Christians, the cross. This symbol is the star to represent King David. Now remember, what you should be doing is watching all these videos on the different religions, picking 3 facts out of each video. So far we've done Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, and Judaism. Next week we'll do Christianity. And then you will put those facts on a slideshow and turn that in to me. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me, and I will have your Christianity video up next Tuesday. Have a great weekend.